Afghanistan, a land of rugged beauty and ancient history, a landlocked country in Central Asia, surrounded by towering mountains and vast deserts. Once a vibrant hub along the Silk Road, it is now a land cloaked in silence, its bustling markets and lively streets now mere shadows of their former selves. The world's attention has moved on, distracted by other crises, other stories that dominate the headlines. But for the Afghan people, the suffering continues. Their daily lives are a testament to resilience amidst relentless hardship. It has deepened, in fact, with each passing day bringing new challenges and greater despair. The year is 2024, and Afghanistan is facing a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions. Aid is scarce, and hope even scarcer. Behind the veil of international indifference, a tragedy unfolds. Families are torn apart and communities are left in ruins. Millions are trapped in a cycle of poverty, hunger, and fear. Basic necessities are luxuries that few can afford. Basic human rights are violated daily. Freedom, safety, and dignity are distant dreams for many. The dreams of a generation have been shattered, replaced by an uncertain future. Education, once a beacon of hope, is now a rare privilege. Yet, even in the face of despair, the human spirit endures. Families find moments of joy, and children smile despite the odds. Stories of resilience, of courage, and of unwavering hope emerge from the ruins. People rebuild, they learn, they dream. These stories need to be heard. They are a call to action, a plea for the world to listen and to care. The world cannot remain silent. Afghanistan needs our attention, now more than ever. It is time to stand with the Afghan people and support their fight for a better future. Life in Afghanistan today is lived under a heavy shadow, the shadow of fear. The Taliban, now in control, have imposed their strict interpretation of Islamic law. The consequences, particularly for women and girls, are devastating. Women are banned from education and most forms of employment. Their movements are restricted. Their voices are silenced. Imagine being told that you cannot learn, that you cannot work, that you cannot even laugh out loud in public. This is the reality for millions of Afghan women and girls. The suppression extends beyond the restrictions. It permeates every aspect of life, creating an atmosphere of constant fear and uncertainty. Speaking out against the regime can have dire consequences. People live in fear of arbitrary arrests, disappearances, and violence. The Afghan economy, already fragile, has been crippled. Sanctions, frozen assets, and the sudden halt of international aid have led to a complete collapse. The consequences are felt in every household. Unemployment is rampant. Those fortunate enough to find work are often paid a pittance, barely enough to survive. The local currency has plummeted in value, making basic necessities unaffordable for most. Imagine a family having to choose between food and medicine, between sending their children to school or begging on the streets. The economic hardship is relentless. Families are forced to make impossible choices just to survive. Many are selling their possessions, their land, even their own children just to put food on the table. The situation is dire, and for many hope is dwindling with each passing day. Hunger stalks the land. Afghanistan is facing a food crisis of catastrophic proportions. Years of conflict, compounded by drought and economic collapse, have left millions on the brink of starvation. The statistics are alarming. Over 23 million people, more than half the population, require humanitarian assistance. Nearly 4 million children are suffering from acute malnutrition. Imagine a mother having to watch her child slowly waste away, their tiny bodies ravaged by hunger. The situation is particularly dire in rural areas, where access to food is limited and livelihoods have been destroyed. The winter months are especially harsh, with families struggling to survive on meager rations. The world cannot stand by and allow this tragedy to unfold. Urgent action is needed to avert a humanitarian catastrophe. Section 5. When healing hands are tied. The crumbling healthcare system. The Afghan healthcare system, already strained before the Taliban takeover, is now on the verge of collapse. Hospitals are running out of essential medicines and supplies. Doctors and nurses are leaving the country in droves, seeking better opportunities and a safer life. The consequences are devastating. People are dying from treatable illnesses. Pregnant women are giving birth without proper medical care. Children are being denied basic vaccinations. Imagine being a parent, unable to provide even the most basic healthcare for your sick child. Adding to the woes, natural disasters such as earthquakes and floods are becoming increasingly frequent, further straining the already fragile healthcare system. The international community must step up and provide immediate support to prevent a complete collapse of the healthcare system in Afghanistan. Section 6. Trapped in turmoil, conflict, and instability. Despite the Taliban's claims of bringing peace, Afghanistan remains mired in conflict. The streets, once bustling with life, are now scenes of tension and fear. The promises of stability seem distant as violence continues to erupt in various regions. Violence continues to plague parts of the country. Gunfire and explosions are a grim reminder of the ongoing strife. The aftermath of these violent encounters leaves communities shattered and in despair. The presence of armed groups and the resurgence of the Islamic State pose significant threats to security and stability. These factions exploit the chaos, further destabilizing the region and making peace a distant dream. This ongoing conflict has displaced millions of people within the country. Families are torn apart, forced to leave their homes and seek refuge in overcrowded camps. They live in makeshift camps, often without adequate shelter, food, or sanitation. The lack of basic amenities exacerbates their suffering, making daily survival a constant struggle. Their lives are in limbo, uncertain of when or if they can ever return home. The uncertainty weighs heavily on their minds as they yearn for a sense of normalcy and stability. Imagine living in constant fear of violence, uprooted from your home, and deprived of basic necessities. The psychological toll on these individuals, especially children, is immense and long-lasting. The cycle of violence and instability is a major impediment to progress. The destruction left in the wake of conflict hampers any efforts to rebuild and move forward. It undermines any efforts to rebuild the country and provide a better future for the Afghan people. The resilience of the Afghan people is tested daily as they strive to reconstruct their lives amidst the ruins. A lasting peace is essential for Afghanistan to heal and prosper. Only through sustained peace can the nation hope to overcome its challenges and build a brighter future for its people. Section 7. The erosion of hope, loss of freedom and social fabric. The Taliban's rule has brought about a profound sense of loss, a loss of freedom, a loss of opportunity, and a loss of hope. The dreams and aspirations of an entire generation are being crushed under the weight of oppression. The social fabric of Afghan society, once vibrant and diverse, is slowly unraveling. Communities that once thrived on mutual support and cultural richness are now shadows of their former selves. Women, once active participants in public life, are now confined to their homes. Their voices, which once echoed in the corridors of schools and marketplaces, are now silenced. Girls are denied their right to education. The classrooms that once buzzed with the energy of young minds are now empty and desolate. Artists and musicians are silenced. The melodies that once filled the air with joy and hope are now replaced by an eerie silence. The rich cultural tapestry of Afghanistan is being systematically dismantled. The vibrant colors of its heritage are fading into obscurity. Imagine a society where music is forbidden, where the joyous sounds of celebration are replaced by a haunting quiet, where girls cannot dream of becoming doctors or teachers, where their ambitions are stifled by an oppressive regime, where laughter is muted by fear. The simple joys of life are overshadowed by the constant threat of violence and repression. The erosion of social support systems further exacerbates the suffering. The safety nets that once provided comfort and security are now frayed and ineffective. Families, once the bedrock of Afghan society, are struggling to cope with the overwhelming challenges. The bonds that held them together are being tested like never before. The loss of hope is palpable, particularly among the younger generation. Their eyes, once filled with dreams, now reflect a deep-seated despair. Section 8. The weight of corruption, a barrier to progress. Corruption is rife in Afghanistan. It permeates all levels of government and society, hindering development and exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. The Taliban, despite their promises of reform, have done little to address this issue. Public funds, including international aid, are often siphoned off by corrupt officials, depriving those in need of essential resources. The lack of accountability and transparency fosters an environment of impunity where corruption thrives. Imagine aid meant for starving children ending up in the pockets of corrupt officials. This endemic corruption erodes trust in institutions, discourages foreign investment, and perpetuates the cycle of poverty and instability. Addressing corruption is crucial for any meaningful progress in Afghanistan. Section 9. Scars that run deep. The mental health crisis. The people of Afghanistan are not only suffering from physical wounds, but also from deep psychological scars. Decades of conflict, displacement, and now oppression have taken a heavy toll on their mental well-being. The rates of depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder are alarmingly high. The constant fear, uncertainty, and lack of basic necessities have created a mental health crisis of immense proportions. Imagine living with the constant weight of trauma, unable to find solace or support. Unfortunately, mental health services in Afghanistan are extremely limited. There is a dire need for trained professionals, accessible mental health care, and greater awareness of mental health issues. The international community must prioritize mental health support as part of any humanitarian response in Afghanistan,